Peace, peace, peace. It's a touch in this one. And we're gonna go back in on this thing about this DNA and how it cannot connect you to any ethnic group or ethnicity or race or whatever you want to call it. We're gonna go into this, all right? So just give me 1 second. Let me turn my TV down. Alright, so let's do this, man. Alright. So look, reason I'm going back in on this, because you got people who still want to debate on this, who still like, I get it, man. I get it. And you know what? And the funny thing is this, right? A lot of time when you doing research, if you can find things that go against what you saying, then it's not fact. So if it's not fact, that means it's error for mistakes. If you have people in the same category of the people telling you that it works and it does all this, and you got other people saying no, it doesn't work, then that is like the scientists themselves ain't agreeing. How the scientists not agreeing when they gotta read off of the scientists have a certain way in which they determine certain things. You understand what I'm saying? So how one scientist how one scientist looking at one thing one way, another scientist when they all going off of one thing. Now I know their interpretations can be similar, but not different to where they disagree. So you have to understand that. And this is for people who do research. This is how you know a lot of this stuff is contradiction. You know what I'm saying? They telling the two stories in one. They did move Africans around. They just didn't move them around the way they told you and brought them here like they told you. They moved the people of the country around. So people just find that so hard to believe because they have all this investment into these degrees. And when you go to school, learn the King English and learn the Queen English, people like try to correct you all day on certain wording or whatever. And like I said, look, man, when you don't hear me saying words properly, that's telling you that's that Aborigine in me. That's when we speak Ebonics or we speak these different terms, 100. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We say certain things like that or whatever. What the hell you think that is? What do you think that is? So let's get into this, all right? So shout out to the people who leave the comments. But we're gonna do this, all right? So ethicity. This is the etymology online, and like I told you, man, they didn't change this etymology dictionary a little bit too, because before it used to show you the prefix and the suffix of the word. It'll show you the prefix. It'll show you where it'll break down the et, the eth, and then you know what I'm saying. It doesn't do that no more like it used to do. But nonetheless, we're gonna go into this. All right. So boom. So right here, ethicity, a noun. It's a ethnic character, 1953. So they saying that ethnicity derived from a word that was created in 1953. It meant paganism, 1772. Okay, so 1772 it meant paganism. All right, so we go down. Let me see something. Hold up. When you go down, you see nationality. It say a fact of belonging to or being a citizen of a particular state from 1828. You see that 1828 dictionary, okay? Gradually, it's a shading into race, ethnicity, meaning separate existence as a nation is recorded from 1832. All right, so let's read it off of the Google search. Human race. It say belonging. It say humans belonging in general, mankind. Okay. So we're gonna read ethnicity off of here, right? It say a state or fact of belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. All right. So it's kind of the word. I mean, it's kind of similar, but this says something totally different. Say ethnic character at 1953. Earliest meant paganism. That means ethnicity is some shit that's created. Okay? They went to different places, seen people in which they described, created words for them, then started separating them according to like the different land that they own. You know what I'm saying? Or the people already had it like that. Certain people lived in certain land. They wasn't probably calling, they was calling it territories or areas. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody ethnicity was kind of different. They probably, a lot of people practice similar cultures, but as far as the ethnicity, they're saying, look, man, let me say, fact of state or being to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. So what ethnicity would African Americans be? Because we don't have the same culture as Africans. So what ethnicity will we be? You understand? We got our own ethnicity. We are Aborigines. We have our own ethnicity because it say a state or belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. All right. So just something just to think about. All right. So let me see something. All right. So here we go. Right here. I want to read this one first. All right. And this is not a peer review joint, but we're going to move on to something that has a little bit more scholarly presence. All right. So this is slate.com. Whatever. Yeah, we know. But the truth is in a lot of this shit because a lot of the other stuff. If the scientists can't agree, then what the fuck am I going to them for? Just like when I was studying AIDS, the top 5 AIDS specialists don't agree what causes AIDS. So what the fuck? They don't know what the fuck caused it then. So why are you going to them? They don't even know what the fuck. They don't even know how to treat the certain things to just subdue the symptoms or whatever, you know what I'm saying, just to hide the symptoms, but it's going to come back out because you never got it out your body. So that's with anything. But like I said, with the whole AIDS thing or whatever, when I was studying it, the top 5 AIDS researcher cannot come to hand. They cannot come to an agreement. So what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck do that tells you? The same thing when you start reading a lot of these articles and they start having conflicting reports. And you're like, all right, well, if you having somebody who's conflicting against something who you believe that's a fact, obviously that's not a fact. So DNA is not a damn fact. So it's not a fact that DNA going to tell you where you from, or it's only going to tell you certain things. All right, so let's get with this. All right, so it says Scott Brown, a former Massachusetts senator who lost to Elizabeth Warren in a 2012 election, has decided to dredge up old accusations that may have ultimately cost him the race. It says, as you know, she's not Native American. Brown reported this week she's not 132 Cherokee. 132 Cherokee. It says he then called on Harvard University, where Warren was a law professor, to release records that allegedly indicates Warren benefited from affirmative action. There's no reason to believe this is true before suggesting that she cannot take a DNA test if she wants to prove her roots. It say, but here's the thing. DNA testing cannot definitely prove whether a person is Cherokee. Okay? So now, if it can't prove, now listen, I'm not naive, right? So I can pretty much read anything at this point in time, and it can pretty much tell me whether it's bullshit or it's the truth. Okay? So now, if DNA testing, or there is no test to tell that a person is Cherokee, so how do you have all these people claiming that they Cherokee, but the people who grandmothers told them that they was Cherokee, people don't believe it? They taking DNA tests, and they like, oh, you were from West Africa. You from West Africa. Like I said, man, it ain't nothing worse than an educated fool. A person who think that they learning something, and the people who teaching you have your best interest at hand. So you educated Negroes always remember that. I have 2 of them college degrees too. I am working on a so-called master's, and this is not no bullshit. Okay? But guess what? At the end of the motherfucking day, I ain't going there trying to get no 4.0 or trying, oh man, I want to be top. So why? Why? All I need to do is process the information that I came in for and keep it moving. I am not there to be brainwashed and to think that everything that they put in these books is true. Okay? You have to be smart enough. Okay, you have to be smart, especially if you have any belief on anything. I did the African thing first. That's what led me here. Okay, shout out to the Moors, because I would never knew none of this stuff if it wasn't for them. So I don't, I'm like I said, and I always do that. But nonetheless, though, I didn't learn none of this stuff in school. I didn't learn none of this stuff on the streets. This is information that just I don't know, from me listening and from me listening to various different sources, I acquired an understanding of why we ain't from Africa. See, that's the first thing. You gotta come with an understanding. But nonetheless, let's keep it moving, okay? But just keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind. I don't have to read from a peer-reviewed journal, because the motherfuckers who write the peer-reviewed journals are the people who do the most lying. So for you niggas out there, oh man, you made that up or whatever. All right, nonetheless, let's keep it moving. But here's the thing: DNA testing cannot definitely prove whether a person is Cherokee or a member of any community. At least not reliable to assume that there's something inherently different in the genetic makeup of tribal members, and that this is universal within the community. That's not true. So our genes dictate certain things about us. That a gene that programs the color of your eyes, for example. But ethnicity is not a trait derived from a single gene, because ethnicity is mostly our perception of a collection of traits rather than a trait itself. Okay? Don't need to read from a peer-reviewed journal. I'm smart enough to say, okay, that's consistent. I don't have to read. I don't need a journal. I don't need a geneticist to tell me anything. I don't need anything. I can read that little passage right there and use the power from the Most High or from the ancient Aborigines and say, okay, that shit is true right there. Okay, so a genetic test that looks at our genes, okay? They looking at your genes. Your genes don't have a name on it. Ethnicity or race is a fucking name, okay? You people is so fucking naive. It's saying come back with an assessment of our ethnic roots. Is honoring, it says is horning in on a specific gene and reading what it says. But there is no such gene to read. Instead, the test is comparing a snippet of DNA to a snippet of DNA of people of known origin and looking for similarities. Okay? Let's keep it going, okay? The problem is that DNA snippet or markers are inconsistent. Sometimes they are passed on, sometimes they are not. And whether they are or aren't is random. It says, sure, a large percentage of Native Americans share certain genetic markers. What I tell y'all yesterday, the genetic markers that they look for is the Asian ones, all right? It say, but many Native Americans may lack the same markers, and many non-Native Americans may carry it by coincidence, okay? You heard that. So check this out. Now, so that could be somebody from China could claim that they're Native American because they got an Asian DNA. And their gene gonna match these fucking Mongoloids. You understand what I'm saying? So they can claim it, but your black dumb ass is taking a genetic test from the same people who got so much to hide from you and gonna tell you. They know you are Aborigine. If they don't know, if some kid from wherever fuck I'm from, I ain't gonna keep putting my location out there, but wherever I'm from or whatever, you could tell that I'm not, like I said, I've been to educational institutions, but I'm not trying to be on nobody's scholarly list or none of that shit or whatever. I'm there to obtain the information. If the information I need to obtain only it requires me to get a C and I'm done with my information, then so be it. I'm not there to achieve so these people can be like, oh shit, they can invite me to their wine and cheese parties. It's not gonna happen. Okay, so let's keep it moving, all right? So let's say, I think I read that. Let me see. All right, so when a DNA test come back saying you are 28% finished, it say all is really saying that that DNA analyzed mostly companies don't analyze all of your DNA. It's a 28% of it most similar to that of a complete finished person. In the end, these comparisons are fun but ultimately unreliable way to think about the possibilities of whom your ancestors might have been, rather than definitive proof of your ethnic background. So it say, so will all of this get better. It say, as we get more sophisticated genetic tests. It say, or could better genetic tests help? It say, amass more data that would improve the precision of the test. It say, probably not. It say, in fact, it might get more complicated. Scientists who don't know better claim that when more natives are sampled, they have better DNA bases, i.e. more native markers. Okay, so they taking these DNA and they fucking around with it. He gets read that. Let me read it again. Scientists who don't know better claim that when more natives are sampled, so the people right now that's claiming to be natives, they're using their DNA. And when they see your DNA, they saying, oh, that's the African DNA. That's not an Indian DNA. And they can't even, like he said, man, look, there's two ways to look at this, people. All right? There's two ways to look at this. And when I read into the other article, you're going to get a better perspective, all right? Like I said, either they are lying about these things, or it's just tracking certain similarities, like I said yesterday. Just because you have similarities with an African don't mean you ain't got similarities with a Papua New Guinea or a Pacific Islander or an Aborigine from Australia or them other people, the Negritos, or doesn't mean that if they test you that you're not going to be from there neither. See, the problem is that the original people from here, they wasn't doing DNA tests until later on, and then they said, well, damn, why would we tell these people they natives, and they've been trying so hard to keep you out of it. They've been trying so hard to keep you out of it. So let's keep it moving, man. So it says scientists, all right, so scientists who don't know better claim that when more natives are sampled, they have a better database, i.e., more native markers. It's said Kim Tallbear. Look, Tallbear, and look, and this is the people that's keeping it up. Kim Tallbear. It's a professional at Native Studies of University of Alberta. You know what? Let me write that down, y'all. I'd like to have a discussion with Kim, since she's an expert in this. But she might only be the expert at her real of the Mongoloid. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people just naive. They just really don't know. And that's what I'm saying. When I'm starting to see a lot of people, and a lot of people is willing to learn too, man. I ran into a lot of people, and a lot of people were sitting here willing to learn and say, well, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, a lot of people I speak to, when you explain a story, they humble. You can see it in their face. But a lot of people just keep the same fuckery going on. They just said there's no way you can tell whether or not a Native American. But what is a Native American marker? That's the whole thing, which you have to understand. There's only so many different people of the world. That's why they looking for mutations and shit. The mutations is the other DNA that's in it. Or I assume that from my perspective of the way I'm looking at it, all right? So let me go ahead and keep it reading. All right, so Kim Tallbear is a native studies at University of Alberta. Where the hell is that at? Alberta. It says in a 47 tweet takedown of Brown's remark about Warren. It says geneticists think that with more markers a greater historical geneticist resolution, they'll be able to pinpoint tribe-specific marker, but this does not account for the fact that people are constantly moving and reproducing with others, diverse people. They mix their genetic code with other communities as they always have, going back to the dawn of species. If anything, our DNA is getting more muddled and not more clear. Now, that's what she said. But they should be able to take that should not be true, because if this shit is what they say it is, then it should be able to pinpoint all the genetic markers on what they is, and they should be able to identify what the inconsistencies is with the people that they testing. So if DNA should, let's understand this too, right? Think of it like this. If DNA is the fucking truth, they should be able to, it should not be no mistakes unless the person who reading it don't know what the hell they doing. Now you have to understand that, and maybe the process of how they reading it is not the way you're supposed to read it. Okay, now that's just my theory. That's just my take on it. But nonetheless, though, what she's saying is incorrect, because okay, let's think of it like this. This is the way DNA is supposed to work. DNA is supposed to have markers. First thing they supposed to have is all the markers from around the world. The 5 different people: Asia, India, Africa, some samples from here. Because if the Aborigine, if the Indians are from Asia, then they shouldn't be included as an American because they have a different DNA. Okay, so their DNA should not even be tested. They should be testing the correct way to test the DNA is to test the DNA from the fucking from the bones and the skeletons you find. That would be the only way. If they ain't from there and you telling us that it's older people, why you not testing them? Why you not testing them? And this is what people is missing. It's not, you can test a whole wave of African Americans with any Lucia, Naya, the Bro woman, the one they found in the Caribbean. You could test any one of them, and I bet you, but what they're gonna say is they was Africans. And that's the whole thing. They keep saying that even though this is a totally different continent, if it was black people here, they had to come from Africa. And then, but no other people in the world, you don't hear no Chinese say I'm a Chinese African. Unless now they probably say, because they all up in Africa or whatever. But nonetheless, though, you don't hear none of these other people saying they African. So just because some of us can't find who we from, and we've been assumed to come from there, but I already proved to you that the slave story is a bunch of bullshit. Okay? It's a bunch of bullshit. I already proved to you. If people at this point in time don't understand that, then you don't need to be here checking this video out. You need to be checking the other videos out. So let's keep it moving, man. It's another video I got right here. Well, not a video, but article. All right. So this is Live Science. This is genetic ancestry test, mostly hype. Scientist says. Okay. So, and just remember this too, right? For a person to be a scientist, they had to take similar classes than the same scientists, man. So they took biology, they took chemistry. It's just a matter of what level biology they went to. All right. So even as a nutritionist such as myself or whatever, I had to take 3 biologies and 4 chemistries. Really, as a nutritionist, I had to take 3 biologies and 4 chemistries. Now I'm not that. I don't even remember a lot of organic chemistry, to tell you the truth, though. But I can break down certain things if I get to it. But biology, that shit is common sense. I mean, it's not common sense if you don't know of it, if you didn't study it and you don't understand it. But when you start relating it to the human body, you start understanding it. Okay, so let's keep it moving. All right, so boom, back. I read the top, the title. All right, so it says several companies now claim that for as little as $100 and a swab of the inner cheek, they can reveal a person's family tree, an ancestry home. All right, so look, and this is what people need to do. All right, as I'm reading this, the people names that I'm reading, if you want to really see if these people is pursued or not, look up their background. That's another way you have to do research. You have to look up the people who's saying it. And you can't discredit them because you ain't in no position to be discrediting nothing because you're not one of their peers. So no home scholar or no home person from YouTube can discredit nobody unless other people are discrediting them with them. Okay, so you can't discredit somebody if you're not one of their peers. Okay, and this is what a lot of people are doing. Okay, I'm reading from articles, and we sitting here looking at this shit. All right, if you want to do it like in a collegiate in a collegiate forum, all right, what peer review people and people who done the research and field study, they're gonna always go by that. Okay, but what I'm saying is when you got other scientists, other people with the same credentials, okay, that's like a person who a personal trainer. But remember, some things can be just, you know what I'm saying, like you can't have your take on certain things, but they have to have similarities to it. So let me keep it moving, y'all. All right, so it say, but more than a dozen scientists from various backgrounds said such recreation, genetic, or vanity tests. You say call it vanity tests. It say have significant scientific limitations and rarely on misconceptions about race and genetics. If a test taker is just interested in finding out let me read that shit again. If a test taker is just interested in finding out where there are some people in the world that share the same DNA as them, then these tests can certainly tell them that. It says Deborah Blonick. They say of University of Texas Texas in Austin. They say, but they're not going to tell you every place or every group in the world where people share your DNA. What the fuck did I tell y'all yesterday? Okay, what did I tell y'all yesterday? They're only testing you with Africans because you're saying African, and actually they probably only made these DNA tests to benefit from us. They only made them shits for us. They only made them for us. They just don't want you to know that though. But they only made these DNA tests for us. That's the reason why when you take it, they automatically put you in Africa, dummies. She just said it. I'm going to read that shit again. All right. So it say, if a test taker is just interested in finding out where some of their people in the world that share the same DNA as them. Now, I'm not a geneticist. You can't say I'm a scientist because I am a holistic nutritionist. So I do work science through that. But also I'm a nutritionist too. And I just told you I had to take 3 biologies and 4 chemistry. So that shit has to mean something. It has to mean something, okay? It has to mean something, okay? So I got a stack of books over there, of freaking biology books I used to have to read, of whatever, trying to keep up with these people before I broke that program and that mind control. All right, but check it out. So they say if a test taker is just interested in finding out where there are some people in the world that share the same DNA as them, then these tests can certainly tell them that. Okay, said Deborah Bronick. We went over that. It say, but they're not going to tell you every place and every group in the world where people share your DNA. Nor will they necessarily be able to tell you exactly where your ancestors live or what racial group or social group they identify with. Now check this out. Now this could be it'll be taken on the other side. She could be deceiving us in certain ways. But understand this. That shit sound consistent to me. Because like I said, according to the groups of people, this is how these people look at it, okay? They try to erase the fact that people was here. And they give a credibility to the people who they found later. See, every place else, Australia, they did the same thing. But people know about the Aborigines of Australia, though. They don't know about the Aborigines of America because they've been classified as something. No, and if they would have had time to do the same shit they did to the people of Australia, they would do the same thing to them. You know what I'm saying? They would have told them that they probably was from Africa. But they probably already knew, and it probably was too late in the game because they didn't probably get to Australia till later on. They was too busy trying to conquer over here. But nonetheless, though, that's just my point. What I believe. I believe that DNA can only track your certain genetic trait if they point it over there. We got the oldest genes, man. Look at when you look at jokers like the Joker Albert Perry. Okay, they tell you that the gene that the Y chromosome go back to Adam, but they said Albert Perry Y chromosome went back further than that, and he was found in Carolina. But what they try to say is similar people in Africa got the same DNA, but they don't know how many more of us got it. That's what they were saying. That's what they basically were saying. Albert Perry, you look him up, Carolina man. They said his DNA go back to 360,000 years or 300,000 or longer. Okay, so all right, so we went through that and go down. Yo, man, remind me if I don't put the links in the description, y'all. I be moving sometime. These videos take hella time to download. They take hella time to do. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I forget something, it's not because I'm trying to be like, you know what I'm saying, I'm a Sagittarius, so I really don't care about details like that. I'm not like one that try to make everything look, I try to make everything look all pretty and shit. I'm not one of them people. I'm one of them people who just try to get the information out, and if you're on the same frequency as me, you can understand it. If you're not on the same frequency with me, you're going to have a hard time, because you're going to be expecting to hear some motherfucker talk like Dr. Seuss, or what's Gary Gnu, or what's the other motherfucker name? Used to be reading bedtime stories when I was young. Mr. Robinson and shit. You won't want to hear somebody talk like that, and it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Alright? So if you don't like the content, if you feel like I'm too much of a nigga, or I'm too niggerish, then keep it moving. There's plenty of platforms and where you can be compensated for the content and what you looking for. Here, I'm cursing. Here, I'm gonna be messing up the kings and queens English. Here, I'm not gonna be reading perfectly 100% like some damn like I'm some one of these Indian kids that just trying to compete with these Europeans. I'm not about that. I'm gonna keep it according to what you people can understand. If you people cannot understand this shit at this point in time, then I don't know what to tell you. You still got people coming on and talking about DNA test. You mean tell me I'm in Roswell, all the research they do, they don't know this? They don't know this. You looking, they're only pointing your DNA at one place. They can control where your DNA goes. She just told you that. They can control it. They're not, I'm quite sure if they would test everybody in the world got common DNA with us. Well, I'm maybe. Don't quote me 100% on that, but I'm at least 70%. I'm at least 70% sure on that. All right, so like I said, man, let's keep it moving, y'all. Okay, here we go. Just gonna get a little exciting, all right? So more than 600,000 people have purchased genetic ancestry tests. Some of you people in my comment, what some of y'all did, it say in the past 6 years. According to the recent study, that trends is likely to increase, scientists say, fueled by a hype promise from companies selling the test, and by news stories about test takers such as Oprah Winfrey learning she is Zulu or a Floridian, a Floridian or a Floridian. The fuck is a Floridian? It's a accountant being told the descending from the Mongol warlord Genghis Khan. Okay, now this is what her DNA said, okay, which that probably was bullshit. But such results are beyond the capabilities of current test scientists say. In Genghis Khan example, the company that performed the test, Oxford Genetic, has not have DNA samples from the Mongol warlord himself because his tomb has never been found. So check this out. Let me elaborate on that. Okay? Check it out. But some results are beyond the capabilities of the current test, scientists say. In Genghis Khan example, the company that performed the test, Oxford Genetic, do not have a DNA sample of the Mongol warlord himself because his tomb has never been found. Okay, so why all these skeletons that they claim are Negroes are not being tested with us here? It's common sense, you dummies. If you can test a tomb or somebody that they found 1,000 years ago, why they not testing them bones with ours? Why they not even testing them with the Mongoloids? But understand, because the scientists already know if they don't have the same cranial structure, then they possibly not the same people. You understand what I'm saying? So they already know that. They don't even have to take a because they looking for the people, but the people who they looking for are being told that they from Africa. Okay? So instead, the companies found the accountant had a set of genetic markers very common in people from Eurasia and particularly in the area where Genghis Khan conquered the rest of the influence. It said there's nothing to actually tie him to him. Balnick said. It said I could have been some other guy alive at that time who slept around a lot. Okay, so it say height promises. All right, so it say most genetic ancestry tests involve the analysis of small snippets of DNA passed down only through the mother or only through the father. These tests can identify related individuals who share a common maternal or paternal ancestry, and even where in the world with people with your genetic signature live today. A common misconception about genetic ancestry testing, Balnick said, is that it can reveal information about an individual ancestry. It cannot. It say people assume these tests can tell you your race or ethnicity and reveal exactly where your ancestors live or exactly what social group they identify with, she said. Okay, so she's telling you it can't do that. But you got people on YouTube and Facebook saying, oh, well, it can do that. It can't do that. And like I said, listen, this is common sense to me. So I'm going to exclude myself. But it's common sense what they're doing. Because I have studied, I have had, you know what? Listen, I'm not I am a scientist because, like I said, I deal with the science of the body. I deal with the science of how to do certain things, but I ain't gonna elaborate too far on that. But nonetheless, though, when you look at DNA, I understand DNA and RNA, so I understand it already, and what I was taught through that, and through we had to do papers on DNA, and now once I started seeing this shit, it just sparked me back. I wasn't initially thinking about this shit, but then I started saying, well, damn, you know what? Hold up, man. DNA can only trace people with similar genetic structure as you or genetic markers. The marker is not a country because, like she said, they're testing the people who they want to test. So if they want to put you in Australia, they can put you in Australia. If they want to put you anywhere on this planet, they can put you there. Okay? So, let's keep it moving, y'all. Alright, so did I read that? Alright, so it say recently the website Ancestry.com rolled out a new service that allows people to mail in DNA samples. So you'll mail in something and they can swap it and they can switch it with whatever they want and do whatever they want to do with it, and then they can give you any result they want to give you and mess up. They can just pick a result. They could just be sitting here with a dart and just with a map and just shooting the dart at okay, we're gonna use that. And this is how naive you people are. But guess what? Your grandmother told you, but you niggas want to go against your grandmother's word and go against what your people told you because you think an Indian is what they showed you, and you don't know that you the whole Indian. And this is why you niggas get what you get. This is why you get what you get. You go, like I said, you think colonization is trying to be the best Negro you can be and not saying, well, damn, you know what? Some of this shit just don't make sense. Some of it just don't make sense. And then you can't even prove some of this shit. Through your scientific methods, you can't even prove it. You understand? So let's keep it moving, man. Alright, so it says genetic cousins in the company database and reveal their ancient origins. And say one problem with this approach, scientists say, is that because such tests analyze less than 1%. I'm gonna say that again. Okay, the Tonsilist one is not saying this. So people who come here, especially Kesta, whatever her name is, or whatever. Shout out to the sister. No, I ain't gonna take no shots. She just haven't came to an understanding yet that this shit is real or whatever though. But shout out to the sister because she always be going back and forth with me though. But you know, like in a good movie, you always need somebody, you know, an antagonist, man. You need every good story. There has to be an antagonist. Everybody can't be agreeing with this shit. That would be just too easy, too right. So it always got to be antagonists. Always got to be naysayers of people who don't agree with what you putting out there. But that's cool. I believe it because I damn sure don't believe. They're giving you too much evidence. They're giving you too much evidence, giving you scientific proof in which people still want to debate that. You got people who've been doing this shit longer than you've been alive. Anthropologists and paleontologists doing this before you're alive, but you're questioning them. They're the experts, and you're questioning them, and they're telling you they're Negro. Why would they tell you that they're Negroes? And everybody else saying that they not because they don't want. They like, no, don't say that. They like, no. The fuck? Why you say that? They like, why the fuck did you tell them that? You understand? Because he's like, it's the truth. And then they probably figure out, oh, these niggas is trying to keep that shit, trying to hide it. They trying to hide. And this is what the scientists probably saying, like, nah, I can't. This is my life work. And this is what I do for real. They don't want to be pseudo. So they like, man, I'm telling the truth. Okay? And then other people like, no, don't tell them it was Negroes here. Or it was they guess they going to use the word Negro. They want to try to use the description so you can just say, all right, well, then it was melanated people here. You understand? So let's keep it moving, man. This shit is funny, though, yo. It's funny. This is the funniest shit. Like I said, people don't catch on. People are, like I said, if you don't have no intuitive, or if you're not intuitive with yourself, or intuitive with the world, you have all the smarts in the world. You can read all the books in the world, and you can be the best. You can regurgitate all the information you want, but you never stop and say, well, hold up. Let me make sure that this information that I'm putting out there is at least 3/4 of the truth. You know what I'm saying? Even though some of the stuff I said might have a little inconsistencies, the fact of the matter is that African Americans ain't Africans, that black people are the Aborigines of North America. That's the fact. That's the fact. So if I miss some things short of that, oh, whoopee fucking do. But I'm showing to you proof. I'm giving you everything that you need. If you niggas don't understand at this point in time, then you need to go ahead. You need to don't come back to my page. Don't come back debating, because I'm going to start blocking you motherfuckers who don't come here, who don't believe. You don't fucking believe, keep it moving. Like I said, I enjoy antagonism, but at some point in time, you gotta realize you're dealing with people who just not, who's not as educated, or not. Fuck, being educated is being educated. What did they tell you? We can get them to go to our schools, and you seen the Indian. He was his family. Everybody else was dressed up in their indigenous clothes, and he was dressed up like a European with a haircut. Okay, education. What educate? The education that's dictated, or the education in which you took the path off the beaten course, and you say, you know what, man? You know what? Let me just make sure that some of this information checks out. All right. So now we'll repeat. One problem with this approach, scientists says, is that because such tests analyze less than 1%, which we already mentioned. We already told you it's less than 1%, but you Negro, they can less than 1% can connect you back to 6-7 different African countries. Well, why do you think so? Because you got similarities to them people over there. It doesn't mean you're from fucking there. If they test you with the Aborigines of Australia, you'll have similarities. The people of the Samoan Island, you'll have similarities. Any of these places where there was melanated people, you'll have similarities, but there is no test to say, all right, well, you're definitely from there. This is what people is missing. You missing that fact. They're just trying to say, and they pointing over there like, oh, Negroes, y'all looking from where y'all from? Oh, I think y'all came from Africa, West Africa. Okay? So, okay, 1% of the person genome. Okay? Do your research. Don't debate me. Don't say, oh, you gave me 99% of what my family was. And don't do it. Because this is the scientists. Let the scientists do their job. Okay? Sometimes let them do their job. Okay? 1% of the person genome. they will miss most of the person's relatives. So it's saying that they will miss 99% of the person's relatives. All right. It said if you take the mitochondria, which we looked at, the mtDNA test, it said you'll learn something about your mother lineage. Say Bosnick said if you go back 10 generations, that's telling you something about only one or more than 1,000 ancestors. Such tests also cannot account for recent migrations of people from their ancient homeland. Present day patterns of residence are rarely identical to what exists in the past. It's saying social groups have changed over time in name and composition. To say the scientists right. Bosnick and her other colleagues, so look Bosnick up, okay, encouraged professors, geneticists, and anthropologists associated to the issue policy statements about genetic ancestry testing that urge either caution on the part of the consumer or set limits on the claim of companies can make. Personally, I would like to see some independent sources of information about these tests, or so consumers could go somewhere besides the companies themselves and get information about what tests can and cannot tell them. So they saying that you idiots don't even do the research and you don't even know what the test can tell you and what it cannot tell you. Okay? So let me read this shit right here, what he said. This guy right here, he spent his life in the lab and shit. That's what I'm saying, man. You got these people who just so educated, who all they do is spend their whole life is working for somebody and just saying, oh, this is what I did. So, like I said, man, that's 2 articles. Believe it or not, don't come to me like, oh man, that's not a peer review article. But you know what? Don't have to be a peer review article. Let's look at this right here. Okay? Let's look at this shit right here, man. Okay. Now, see this. He sold this. All right. Now let me see something real quick. I just love going to the pictures, man, because people so stupid. They're them only pictures. But the scientists just said the DNA don't tell you nothing. But pictures showing you just one picture. I'm not even gonna pull up no more pictures. All right. I'm not in the mood today. All right. I'm just gonna pull up one picture. And I just want to pull the map up itself because look at these people, man. Look at these people. This is America. This is America. This is fucking America, okay? This is America. So these people don't look like Indian. And in fact, see, what they do to make you think you're not an Indian is the fucking hair. Look at these people. They got afros. And they're your color. But no, them can't be my people. Nah, them not my people. Oh, we know that there was dark Indians. And this is the dumb shit that people say. There was dark Indians with afros? Duh. What the fuck? Oh, your grandmother told you was Indian? Duh. Like, come on, man. You people can't be as smart as you say you are. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. Now, let's read this. We already know this is John Oberle. We already know what book it came from. So, please, people, stop. And another thing. I've got videos on this stuff. I've been talking about this. Please stop coming to me telling me about stuff that I did videos on. That means you're not watching the videos. If you commenting on stuff I made videos about, obviously you didn't check the video. You come in watching one video and say, okay, all right, well, let me tell them about this and tell them about that. I'm trying to show y'all what the deal is. I don't mind you if you send me comments or send me research and everything, but stuff that we already talked about or that we already clear on, we don't need to talk about. So you already know about Notice Martinez, John Oberle, and all that. All right, so. Look at that. I say nice example of Oberle Martinez map of the Southeast. What did I tell you? Northeast and Southeast. It's extending from the York River in Virginia to northern Florida. Okay. It's covering the area of Lower Chesapeake Bay to northern Florida. The map is a faithful reduction of William Blue. It's an important prototype of the map in 1630. Now I need to write that down. He's a person of interest, because because some people saying that he never came here and all that. Somebody came here and seen that. So I don't care if it was somebody copied it. They copied it exactly because when you look at the other images they light them out. It's simple as that. I'm not seeing the other images. They lighten them out. So it say William Blue or William Blah, yeah, Blue, fuck, whatever. It's a important prototype of, it's a map of 1638. It's a with cunning consider it to be the most correct map of this area yet to appear. This reduced example is more it's a decorative than the blue. Than the blue. It's saying that it bear too large decorate. It's a cart torches. I don't know the cart torches depicting native sense. It's a birding. The map was published in Montanez's landmark America, perhaps the greatest illustration book on the New World, produced in the 17th century. Montanez's work contained over 100 beautiful engraved plates. It's a views and maps of North and South America. The map appeared in the early issues of the English edition of Montanez issued by John Oberly, but was replaced in 1673 by a famous First Lord proprietor map which gave more up to date pictures of the English present in Carolina. Okay, so it's telling you it gave more up to date pictures, which he's saying that these pictures had to be more authentic than this. Okay, so you guys is looking at, like I said, man, you guys is looking at Ancestry.com when they showing you right example, but somebody telling you, oh, them just pictures, don't believe them. And that's what I'm saying. This is the difference from a naive person and a person with common sense, man. People don't have the common sense in which they tell. So let's say, for example, even if that map, let's say for example, right? Let me see, this one. Let's say, for example, even if that map was wrong, they constantly making all the people look alike. You understand what I'm saying? They constantly make all the people look alike. And it even saying, it's saying explain to blacking about black people being indigenous to America, please. Let me see something. Let me read what this young brother just said. It said there was Egyptian artifacts found in America as well. It said we were here, and I always had that theory. I don't even need to read no more. Good shout out to the little brother right there. I was trying to actually find a map. I guess they don't have a map nowhere. This is probably a picture in which he put up there. But yo, man, we already know. Let me get out of here, man. It's been a long video, but like I said, you guys check it out. You see the afro right here. You see the other afro right here. And let me show you something else what I just found. Check this shit out. And I just found this shit on the Humble. I just found this on the Humble. This is how you know things come to you, right? Now check this out. This ain't got nothing to do with the topic, but it's a human arrival wiped out the Caribbean giant ground sloth, okay? So this is the depiction of what they say the giant ground sloth look like, right? But he's supposed to be prehistoric or you know, dating back to a certain date. But you see, they still got a fucking Negro right here. Why is a Negro right here? Because they using these words to tell you that you're not, because them Indians. Oh yeah, I got Indian in my blood. That's the most stupidest thing when you talk to a black person and you ask them like, yo, your grandma told you it was Cherokee. They think they really got Indian in the blood. They don't know you are the Indian. You idiot, you are the Indian. You don't have Indian blood. Your whole blood is the Indian. You are the Indian. Put it like that. You are the Indian. So with that being said, man, check it out, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, don't be naive out here doing this research, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, things happen. Some people don't have time to do this research like this or whatever. But like I said, I'm trying to. I get the videos out when I get an opportunity to. And I'm gonna keep on going with them. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy digging up the research. I enjoy doing this. So while I have a love for something, or you know what I'm saying, I enjoy doing something, I might as well just keep it going for the meanwhile. So shout out to the people in comments. Shout out to the Aboriginal North America. Thanks, man. Thanks for all your support, man. But remember, man, what we just went over, all right? So with that being said, it's your boy Thompson. I'm out of here. Peace.